Where does talent come from? Talent is a bullshit word. As a music teacher, I can tell you, there is no such thing as raw talent. Babies are not born playing the trumpet or drawing. You are born with good fine motor skills and good eyesight to see colors, read sheet music. Your parents played music when you were in the womb and exposed you to art. You got music lessons from a competent teacher who did not terrorize you. You got love and support, and bingo. It's talent. Or you are physically symmetrical from birth on, are encouraged to run and play, given a ball to play with starting at age 1, are constantly surrounded by kids playing with a ball, are encouraged to play football, and bingo. You have talent for football. Talent is just a love for something, plus the physical requirements, coordination, balance, mental capacity, plus practice. That's all. I disagree. There is a certain level of genetic talent. There is also a huge component of effort. It's pretty obvious, not everyone has the same level of intelligence. As an example, you can get somewhere with talent, but little effort. You can go a lot further with lots of effort, but little talent. The people at the absolute top of their fields have both. It's often a perfect storm type situation. People who are naturally talented at something likely have several advantages in various areas. I think the largest advantage is probably their neurology. Their brain is wired in such a way that doing the task is easy and natural when compared to others. A guitar player might have excellent proprioception and motor control, for example. Some other factors might be a true passion for it, never getting bored of something is a big advantage, high intelligence, a history of exposure to it, a body suited to the task. The guitarist might have small, nimble fingers, etc. I think this is the closest straightforward explanation. Specific genetics, epigenetics, external environment, prior development, emotional readiness, home environment. Most people are not great at self-critiquing in a way that is effective, so an excellent coach or mentor is important early on. Edit. I also think people underestimate how straightforward, while still difficult, it is to get into the top 10 to 20%, and underestimate how difficult, perfect storm, it is to get into the top 0.1%. A nexus of physical and mental skill based on people's nature and nurture. Why would everyone be the same? We can clearly see how incredibly different people can look appearance-wise, so it only makes sense that people would also be very different skill-wise. Yes, I see that. But my question is where those differences come from. Genetics is an important part of it, but training is also very important. For example, if you were to look at the upbringing of most professional athletes, you would see that they were very physically active from a young age. That gave them an advantage in strength and endurance over their peers. Since they were good at sports, they found it to be fun and trained even more, and became even better. It's also no coincidence that most pro athletes were born early in the year. They were slightly older, and thus stronger and faster than the people they grew up competing against. The best players got to play more than the others, received extra training, etc., thus gaining even more of an edge. Money is also a factor. If mom and dad couldn't afford gear or had the time and money to drive to practice, games, and camps, no amount of genetic talent will do you any good. None of those are talents. Not one of those comes without practice and often intentional training. No one is born able to draw well, or sing in tune, or kick a ball in a direction they choose. Sure, some people do naturally have better memories than others, but 150-digit of anything is going to be using a technique like a memory palace, where you picture a place you know well, then place the numbers you need to remember in that place, and by walking through the memory you will pass the numbers in order. Brains are weird. The shortest answer I can give is childhood. Sometimes you get lucky and a child's fascination with something translates into practice. I can't draw for crap, but I can paint Warhammer figures, because I've been doing that since I was 12, and I'm in my 40s now. I have friends who are very talented artists, and they all draw for fun and have done since they were old enough to hold a crayon. My dad writes songs, plays guitar and sings, and does them all well, and he started in his teens. As you say, some people are naturally better, which is what Op is asking about. It's weird. My father grew up in the 40s, dirt poor with an abusive dad. He never even owned a pencil growing up and never got an ounce of encouragement. But when he was out on his own, he picked up a pencil and could draw like you wouldn't believe. He can paint and airbrush and had a 60-year career as an artist. I had those genes and every opportunity, resource, and encouragement, and I'm lucky I draw breath. The book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell offers some insight into this. Forgive me for the crude explanation, but Howard Stern is a good example of this. His mother was super depressed, so to get her interaction he had to make her laugh. His parents didn't interact with him unless he could make a good point really quickly. His dad worked in a recording studio, so the only way they could bond was by discussing radio-type things. So there are weird factors in his childhood that had him innately start working on the skills that would go into becoming a shock jock. In a certain sense, by the time he was 18, he already had like a proto-13-year career doing it for his parents. This is true for a lot of people. The environments they grow up in play a huge role in what skills they pick up and choose to hone. It's not always surprising that some end up pursuing similar careers as their parents. It's really a mix of genetics and practice. People who say it's all just practice don't understand the full picture. They are claiming that with just practice you'd be able to master chess or marathons. There's a reason so many runners are from a specific area in Kenya, and it's not because of their local gym. I have long Dutch legs, so I can outrun a short guy with the same stats as me. Young kids already show affinity for certain skills. Some can run faster than others, and some can focus on a mental task much better. Only when you have both talent and practice you can reach the top in a field. If your birth stats are bad, you need a ridiculous amount of training just to get to a normal level. There isn't one answer. Some of those things require rapid reactions, or high neural processing speed. Some require stronger CV systems. I know two brothers. Both went to the same, excellent, school. Both went to uni. They're both very different in terms of intelligence, work ethic, and character. People are just different.